The second most common mistake that the dentists make when resigning from PPO plans is not strengthening their marketing ahead of time to replace PPO plans as the source of new patients. One takeaway I want all of our listeners to understand: from this moment forward, I want you to think of your PPO adjustments. That's the difference between your usual fee and your contracted fee. I want you to think of that as a marketing expense, because you are paying the PPO plan to send you patients. However, it's a very outrageous cost. I'd like you to think of it as a tax. You know, as we're recording this, we're in early April, and we're coming up on tax season here in the US. And I know how all business owners feel about tax season. It's like, here it comes again. Well, every day you're subjected that into your practice by a massive tax. The average adjustment today in 2023 from your usual fee to your PPO fee is a 45% adjustment, 45% adjustment. So you're literally paying the PPO plan a massive tax. You could not only save just a humongous amount of money by developing your own marketing plan, but you'll also get the added benefit of attracting people that may not have that insurance mindset, where they're only interested in having something done if it's covered by their insurance. So over time, Niren, most practices receive, if they're in PPO plans over years, this goes over a period of time, PPO becomes their source of marketing. That's where they get their new patients from. Also, because of the economics of being in network, they don't have much of a budget to diversify their marketing anyway. Is that what you see, Niren?
Yes, that is correct, Gary.
They don't have much of a budget, because when you're giving 45% away to the PPO plan, your economics are really thin. So as a result of that, you become dependent on the PPO. That's why when we ask what percentage of your practice are PPO, what do we normally hear, Niren? What percent of the practice are PPO?
Yeah, typically we hear like 80 to 90% are PPOs. I mean, almost always like 70% plus, but sometimes even 80, 90%.
Yeah, sometimes we're 70%, 75%, 80%, 85%. The highest I've ever seen was 97%. 97% of this practice's patients were PPO patients.
Right.
He was thinking there's no way in the world I could ever do this. And yet he was successful with going out of network. So, but if you don't replace, here's a good way to think of it. I'll use Delta because they're the 5,000-pound gorilla. When I say Delta is the source of your patients, you are being listed on their directory. It used to be paper directories that employers would hand their employees, here's all the benefits we provide. Well, now all that's done electronically. So if you want to find a dentist, then go to the directory and pick a dentist that's a contracted provider under the Delta PPO plan that we provide for you. But over time, Delta becomes your source of new patients. So you want to replace Delta. Here's the best way to think of it. You want to replace Delta with Google as your source of new patients. In a nutshell, that's what you're doing.
Right.
Replacing Delta. But offices don't do that. They fail to do anything different in marketing. And then guess what happens, Niren? When they resign, the day you resign from Delta, even though there might be a 90-day wait to be out of network, a 90-day notice period. In other words, once you resign, you still have to stay in network for 90 days. But the day you resign, you'll be taken off that directory. They won't provide you. And if you haven't replaced it, guess what happens?
If you haven't replaced it, your business will shrink, right? Because you're going to be losing those patients that let's say you're losing the flow, right? Let's say you're getting 10 new patients from Delta, and now if you don't have marketing that's going to replace those 10 new patients, your business will go backwards. So I find the most successful practices, like you said, Gary, before they start resigning from the bigger plans, maybe they might drop a plan with 20 patients, not a big deal.
The minor ones.
The minor ones. But before they start resigning from the major ones, they really strengthen their marketing. And like you said, replace the PPO plan with Google, because instead of costing 45 to 50%, my experience is strong SEO-driven marketing will cost you 1%, 1.5% of what you collect versus 45% of what you produce, which is a
Yeah,
huge
think about that for a minute.
difference.
Would you rather spend 45% of your revenue on marketing in the form of handing it to the fat cats at the insurance company? Or would you rather spend 1 to 2%? And it could be even less depending on the size of your practice. And in
Right.
my opinion, in my experience, the best way to do that is with a really strong organic search engine optimization campaign, organic SEO. Jump on my back and follow my lead. The reason I wanted to own a practice was so I could have a test kitchen. And the best marketing that we've ever done at LifeSmiles is to work with Equa, work with your firm, Naren, and that's exactly what you provide, a really strong organic SEO campaign. And you'll spend, depending on the size of your practice, 1 to 2% of your revenue instead of 45% of your revenue. It's a pretty easy economic decision. Naren, let's put a link in the show notes for any of our listeners to schedule a marketing strategy meeting with Equa. We can also, the URL is very easy. It's www.ekwa.com/MSM, marketing strategy meeting. And you can learn how you could replace your PPO plans with a really good organic SEO campaign like we've done and what I recommend to my clients.